G'day legends, UFC 304 is stacked. Dana White finally announced the card on his Instagram. So we are going to react to all of that news. Belal Muhammad is finally getting his title shot. I cannot believe how long he has had to wait. It's like there could have been a whole documentary. If Belal had never gotten his title shot, I could have seen one of those great MMA documentaries coming out on YouTube talking about Belal Muhammad, the bloke that never got a chance, right? But he's finally got his title shot, right? And Dana is going to be freaking out during this entire fight. I cannot wait for the memes and the screenshots to start coming out of Dana White's face during this title shot going down. I do hope that he actually goes all the way to Manchester, sits in the front row and watches this fight because it's going to be phenomenal. They have done everything they possibly can to not give Belal Muhammad his title shot, okay? We know what the boys in the boardroom at Disney are like, okay? We know what kind of company that is, right? They hated Sean Strickland as champion, giving him a microphone or platforming him, as those people like to say. And now we know that they've gotten past Sean Strickland. They do not want a Palestinian to have their moment in the sun on ESPN, platforming them too. It is going to be just glorious to see what happens if Belal Muhammad actually comes across and pulls this through for a win. I do not think he will, though. I do think that Leon Edwards is going to win this boring fight over a 25-minute boring decision fest. It's truly going to be a horrible main event. I feel sorry for the people in Manchester that are going to have to watch this at some ungodly hour of the morning. It's really going to... The rest of the card looks great. Let's talk about that. The rest of the card looks absolutely great, but this is one of those main events that sort of just needs to happen. Belal deserves the shot. I'm going to be rooting for Belal in my heart because I think it will be very funny if he wins the title. However, I don't think he is going to win the title. So I'm going to be predicting, if I was putting my money down on this one, I would be predicting that Leon Edwards would win this fight. Secondly, Leon Edwards has been getting a ton of hate about his lack of activity. And I get it. Leon Edwards is a notoriously inactive UFC fighter. But I do have to say, since his fight against Colby Covington, the lack of activity from Leon Edwards is not Leon Edwards' fault. Okay, let's just be fair while we're talking about everything. They tried to book Leon Edwards onto UFC 300 and Leon said yes. It was the opponents that they were giving him that were turning it down because of Ramadan, and they didn't want to put Belal Muhammad on UFC 300. So Leon got held up for that. If Leon had been on UFC 300, he would have been just as active as any other champion that we have right now. So I think the whole Leon Edwards is super inactive just needs to be tempered with a little bit of, this wasn't exactly Leon's fault. And then once UFC 300 passed, we had to wait until Manchester. It's the new UFC business model. They don't care about the crowds, it's at the Apex. If they do care about the crowds, they need someone local at the main event. So people like Sean O'Malley, they get held for Vegas and Miami. The Australians, they get held for when we come down to Australia. Izzy might get held for when we come down to Australia. It's just the way that the UFC is operating in this new era. So if they're going to a region, they're holding back certain fighters. It's not necessarily the fighter's fault that they can't be more active. So that's the main event announced from Dana White. Before we get into the rest of the announcements, I do want to say I'm doing a big, massive push on this channel. I really want to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of July. My birthday's in July, so I'd like to hit it for my birthday. So if this is your first time popping in here, checking this out, if you could go ahead and hit subscribe, that would mean the world to me. If you've already been a subscriber, thank you so much for helping me get to 1,000. But bloody, I don't know, mate, make a YouTube account for your dog or something. Get him to subscribe. Let's really push this to 1,000 subs. All right. Now, getting on to the second piece of news that came out regarding UFC 304. Tom Aspinall is back, boys. Tom Aspinall is going to be fighting Curtis Blaydes. And I do think that this time, I know it's a rematch. I know Belal versus Leon's a rematch as well. But what I'm saying is, I know this one is a rematch, right? This is a more, I don't know, poignant rematch. Who cares? This rematch, right? People are going to be saying Curtis Blaydes is going to win this one. I don't think he will. I think a healthy Tom Aspinall with that knee problem finally fixed is going to be able to handle Curtis Blaydes over the 25 minutes. I think he is going to be able to stuff the takedowns, scramble, get back up, Curtis is going to get frustrated around the second or the third, and I do predict that Tom Aspinall is going to sleep Curtis Blades second or third round. He is going to knock him clean out. It is going to be bloody glorious. And then after he does that, it is just straight into the content machine on this channel of making video after video after video about how much of a pussy Jon Jones is for ducking Tom Aspinall, the true heavyweight UFC champion. I'm going to be like the bloody MMA guru back in 2021 when it was just every video was him just ragging on Israel Adesanya. That's the energy we're going for in this, right? Jon Jones needs to fight Tom Aspinall, and I can't wait for Tom Aspinall to have his moment on the microphone, sleeping Curtis Blades, calling out Jon Jones. It's going to be epic, man. Next fight that was announced, Paddy Pimblett versus Bobby Green, right? I love this matchup. I love this matchup. Okay, so first thoughts about Paddy Pimblett versus Bobby Green. Obviously, it's not going to be Paddy Pimblett versus Money Moicano. Let's get Money Moicano paid. Let's get him a big old name, right? Right up the rankings. Why not, man? Why not? Money Moicano is great on the microphone. He's there he can't afford to lose. So if Paddy Pimblett's not going to be fighting Moicano, let's get Money Moicano Dariush, or dare I say this on the internet and sound like a fool, but I like it. Money Moicano versus Charles Oliveira. Let's do it, man. Let's get him right up there, right? Let's get him to rocket past Gamrot. Who wants Gamrot in lightweight? Just putting us all to sleep. Lightweight's meant to be the most exciting division, and Gamrot is a snoozer, so just ignore him. But this matchup here, Paddy Pimblett versus Bobby Green, I do believe that Bobby Green is going to finally expose Paddy Pimblett to the UFC casuals, because I feel like those of us in the know, a lot of us already know that Paddy Pimblett is extraordinarily overhyped, right? So I do think that Bobby Green is going to be able to piece him up. Paddy Pimblett will need to wrestle Bobby Green. And here's the thing with Pimblett. His wrestling is not that on point. He has great judo throws and is great once the fight is on the ground. But a lot of that sort of happens in messy exchanges, messy grappling, where the fight just naturally proceeds to the ground. Bobby Green is very good at not allowing that to happen. Bobby Green is very good at drawing people into a rangy striking battle on the feet, and Paddy is quite willing to sit there and play a rangy striking battle on the feet. So I do think Bobby Green is going to school Paddy Pimblett in this fight, and all the blonde wigs in the arena are going to be absolutely silenced. That's what I think is going to happen. I think, obviously, let's get on to the other fights that have been announced. Molly McCann has been announced. Manel Kape has been announced to be on this card. Super excited to see him back. Manel Kape versus Makayev. Let's go. I do hope Manel Kape sleeps him, and I think he will. I think we'll be looking for Manel Kape to get a finish in the third round late in the fight. I think Makayev is going to try and wrestle him as best as he can. Makayev might win the first round, but then we're going to see Manel Kape really pick it up over 2 and 3, get the finish. I think it's going to be a great night. Like 304 for us, the regular fans on this side of the aisle, the American fans, the Aussie fans, because it's in our normal schedule, we're going to love it. The English fans have been absolutely dogged. It's outrageous what Dana White is doing to the English fans. How dare he not put it on in the afternoon for the English? Like, they 100% deserve this. They might have one of the best fan bases in all of MMA. So just atrocious what Dana White is doing to them. The last call that I want to make for UFC 304 is picture this, right? Just picture this. Imagine, okay, Dana White is sitting there in the front row and watches his brand new shiny toy that he's put all this marketing into, Paddy Pimblett, get absolutely destroyed by Bobby Green. His face just goes red. And then Curtis Blades goes ahead and knocks out Tom Aspinall clean, and his new future of heavyweight that he's trying to build up in England for when Jon Jones finally retires loses all of his hype, and his face just goes a deep red. And then, right, Bilal Muhammad just ekes out the most boring 25-minute dominant fight you have ever seen in your life. And Dana just gets up and walks out of the arena. And he has like a post-fight press conference of when Anderson Silva just ran around and did nothing back in the day. where he literally just apologizes to the fans. and then watch him push for Bilal Muhammad versus Shavkat in like 6 weeks, pay-per-view at the Apex. Like, just anything to get Bilal off a championship. He's going to push so hard for Bilal to have his next title fight. Oh, God. If everything just goes the wrong way, it'll be so funny to watch Dana's reaction, man. I love it when his face just goes red and things don't go his way. It's so funny. Right, UFC 304, it's set in stone. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great card. I think the timing's very disappointing for the English, but I think it's going to be good fun. A lot of good, interesting matchup fights. Pure MMA fights, great to watch. Going to be a good lot of them, but also the meme value in this one, the fun that we can have back and forth with the boys is also there as well. So thoroughly looking forward to UFC 304. Let me know down there in the comments, which fights are you looking forward to the most for UFC 304? What is your betting going to be? What's your initial predictions feeling like? Put it all down there in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next one.